valley so low, and love will find a way on mountains capped with snow. Love will find a way in valleys so low, and love will find a way on mountains capped with snow.
Today I'll sing my song for you. Tomorrow I may be gone from you. Listen to what I'm saying to you. We must struggle for the people. Everybody say, say, ooh, yeah. Today I cop a plea to you. Tomorrow I may flee from you. Listen to what I'm saying to you. We must struggle for the people. Struggle for the people. Struggle for the people. The light of all truth will shine on you if you struggle for the people. Say, ooh, yeah. As I cop my final plea to you, I realize I won't always agree with you, but the nature of life is true. But we must struggle for the people. Struggle for the people. Struggle for the people. The light of all truth will shine on you if you struggle for the people. Everybody say, 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 ooh, yeah.
Love will find a way in valleys so low, and love will find a way on mountains capped with snow. Love will find a way in valleys so low, and love will find a way on mountains capped with snow.
Hi everyone. This world is made up of great stories, and the Corporate Chameleon Story Project is about finding stories that make this world great. Welcome everyone to this wonderful event that we've got lined up for you, which is the Corporate Chameleon Story Project, brought to you in association with Z International and ICICI Lombard. We're really happy to bring these stories to you. After all, we are made up of stories, aren't we? As children, we've been nurtured with food, love, and stories. It's stories that have made us, it's stories that have molded us, it's stories that have grown us to where we are. And today, while the world is going through difficult times, it's these stories that we need to sustain us, to come together, to collaborate, and to win over the difficult times. Sustainability has taken an absolute new meaning in this world today. And the Corporate Chameleon Story Project is talking about this very sustainable stories. It's talking about finding that collaboration and that co-creation that will go a long way in changing this world. That opening video that you just saw was composed by our dear friend Tafiti Imara, all the way based out of California, who's a brilliant musician. And this collaboration is all about telling you the stories through music and through those images. The visuals that you saw are the stories that you will hear today. So here we are. Join us as part of the Corporate Chameleon Story Project to listen to these wonderful top 10 stories that we have found for you from across the country. How did we go about doing that? Well, let me tell you. Over 90 corporates participated in the story project by Corporate Chameleon. We went around searching for the best stories that tell us about sustainability, how organizations, how people came together to make it a better world. These stories were told over 5 stoffies. What are stoffies? Well, they are stories over coffee. That's right. 5 of these stoffies happened where we had more than 90 storytellers come together to tell and present their stories, which were then evaluated and judged by a panel of storytelling gurus, I would say. And these storytelling gurus have found us the top 10 stories that we are here to present to you today as part of the Corporate Chameleon Story Project presented by Zee International in association with ICICI Lombard. This is the grand finale. So you will be watching this live right here on the Corporate Chameleon, Zee International and Crossword Facebook page. And while you're there listening to these stories, tell us how these stories impact you, how they move you, how they touch you. So in the comment section, keep telling us about the stories and what they do for you. Well, let's start by telling you the story of the Corporate Chameleon Story Project itself. This is where the story began.
Storytelling is a mindset that we bring to the ways in which we communicate. And stories really make up, a large part of our lives. They are stories which are, have a great impact. They are the ones which we use to inspire, persuade, influence, teach. So much we do with stories. And in business as well as in our personal life, stories are a great way to solidify relationships and a great way to convey ideas. In fact, somebody rightly said that storytelling is a leadership skill of the 21st century, and telling powerful stories is a great differentiator. No wonder then, at Corporate Chameleons, our effort and endeavor is to help people build their storytelling competence and bring more beautiful stories to life.
The name Corporate Chameleon actually came to me in a dream. Sometime last year, around this time, I woke up in the morning with this name buzzing in my head. But if you think that's where the story begins, then you're mistaken. I'm a corporate trainer and I specialize in designing training modules with a focus on storytelling. And so last year, when I got 3 calls within the same 1 week from 3 large organizations, their CSR departments, asking me to create this training module, the same training module in an upskilling space, I started thinking that the corporates do such a fabulous job. I mean, so many people are doing such amazing work in their own spaces. But can we get the corporates to start working with each other and collaborating, because then the impact would be so much greater. But how? How do we get corporates to start collaborating with each other? And of course, Being a storyteller, the answer was staring me right in the face by sharing stories. And that's how the Corporate Chameleon Story Project was actually born.
So you heard it right there. The story of the Corporate Chameleon Story Project, told to you by Shabnam and Sudipta, who are really, really happy, really, really proud right now that we've reached the stage where we've been able to get all these stories, a great repository of wonderful work being done in the world of sustainability. And today, like you just saw, 10 storytellers are all set and ready. I can already see the comment section buzzing because people are really excited that their friends, their colleagues, their peers are going to tell us the stories that made a difference. But hold on, before we get to the stories, let's hear from our judges. The judges have had a very, very tough job. Over the 5 stoffies, well, they've heard all the stories, they've evaluated them, they've understood them, they've been working along with our storytellers, and today we've got the best 10. So let's hear from our judges. Our first judge, Prabhat Pani, an illustrious career in FMCG, telecom and hospitality has taken him across the globe. He is an alumnus of IIM Ahmedabad and has been associated with CII. Currently, he is with SPJN Institute of Management and Research as Chairperson, Postgraduate Program in Development Management and Head of Social Sector Intervention and Projects. Prabhat is here with us and he will tell us what he thinks about the story project. Prabhat, over to you.
Thank you, Diyu. The cultures of many countries, and certainly that in India, carry storytelling as a very important part of tradition. Even though decades have gone by, I still remember with great fondness some of the stories told to me by my grandmothers, by some of my teachers in the early years in school, not to forget some of the stories I heard from my mentors and my colleagues during my professional career. I would like to think that some of the stories I shared with my younger colleagues and people in my early years have made some impression, because once in a while I'm pleasantly surprised when they relate back to me many years later about what I seem to have shared with them many years before. I definitely believe that stories influence opinions, they change perspectives, and they certainly shape your worldview. And that is why I'm so delighted to be associated with Stoffy, the initiative by Corporate Chameleon. I've had the privilege of listening to some wonderful stories in the earlier editions. And I'm sure even today there will be some beautiful stories leaving lasting impact. And to all the participants today, happy storytelling. Have a great time relating them and have a great time listening to them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prabhat. And of course, happy storytelling to all our storytellers. Happy story listening to all our audiences across the Facebook pages that you are watching right now. Well, our next judge is a media professional for over 2 decades. He knows a bit about storytelling, quite a bit actually, because he has been the author of many books. He's a storyteller and has been part of many media houses, notably being Magna Publications, Macmillan India, and Amar Chitrakatha. He has authored 2 books for children, Nanna Nutcut, Tales of Little Krishna, and Valiant Warriors. He's also authored 5 novels, including Amazon India's bestseller, Evading the Shadows, a fictional spy thriller set during the Mahabharata. That sounds very exciting. Well, we have with us Rajesh M. Iyer, who is our second jury member. Hi, Rajesh.
Thank you so much, Dew, for such lovely introduction. I always wonder what is the core emotion that I get when I relate to a story. Do I get goosebumps when I hear heartwarming stories, or moist eyes? Well, sometimes both of them. Or a sense of purpose to do something to make a difference in the world we live in. Frankly, all of these, and especially the stories that I've been hearing of late, and they've been covering this gamut of emotions so wonderfully. And what Corporate Chameleon Storytelling Platform has done is understand the humane side of corporate life. All these stories tell us that even though P&L statement is important, what's paramount is creating that small difference to usher in rightful change in the challenging times we live in. All the very best to all the storytellers. This is a wonderful platform. Make the best of it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rajesh. Of course, we'll make the best of it. That's the whole idea, taking these stories of sustainability and making the best of it in a world of collaboration and co-creation. Our third jury member is an author of illustrated middle grade children's books, a biography of a noted pharmaceutical scientist, and a novel. She's been associated with Ladli, an initiative to save the girl child that has floated by Population First. Her story ideas are adapted into films, and in 2018, her novel The Fourth Passenger was reviewed by the Publishers Weekly and is available at all American and Australian libraries. Well, she's been a speaker at many Lit Fest, the Goa Lit Fest, and today she is here to talk to us. So Minnie Nair, we are really, really happy to have you with us. Hi, Minnie.
Good luck to all the participants, and I hope the best story cracks it. I had such a fun time listening to the stories, and I'm going to really be keeping a tab on this, and good luck once again. Bye.
Great. So that was Minnie wishing all our storytellers all the best. And our final judge who's here with us, he's a writing coach, university teacher, award-winning filmmaker, and the founder of Tall Tales, India's longest-running storytelling event series. In addition to performances, Tall Tales also conducts South Asia's most popular creative writing workshop focusing on story design. Michael is the author of the forthcoming book, The 8 Stories of Businesses and Professionals, which is due next year. Well, Michael has also been working with our storytellers, preparing them for this grand finale. So Michael's very excited, I'm sure. I can already see he's been commenting on the Facebook page, but here is Michael telling us about his excitement and the entire story project.
Thank you, Dew. I'm Michael Burns, and I've served as one of the jury members for Corporate Chameleons project, and I've been so thrilled to be part of it. It's such an important initiative for many reasons, but storytelling and story designing and story harvesting and story discovery is one of my great passions. And in addition to being a member of the jury for to select the top 10 stories, I've also been lucky enough to coach the storytellers and give them some tips on how to make their stories even stronger. Hopefully these tips will be able to prevail even beyond the demonstrations tonight, and hopefully will contribute to their professional development and maybe even a live storytelling event in the future. So thank you to Corporate Chameleons for allowing me to be part of this project, allowing Tall Tales to be fundamentally involved in such a core level of this project. I've enjoyed every second of it, and I look forward to more collaborations. Thanks again for everything.
Thank you very much, Michael, and thank you so much for working with all our storytellers and getting them ready for this finals. Well, we are just about ready with our storytellers. They're waiting in the wings to come up and perform their stories live. But before we get to them, we need to say a big thank you to all our sponsors and our partners who've made this Corporate Chameleon Story Project a possibility. It's a dream come true, especially during these tough times where we've had them support us, guide us, and say, let's make this happen. So first of all, our presenting sponsor, Zee International. Well, thank you so much, Zee International, the only true Indian global media conglomerate with 39 international channels, having a presence in 173 countries and 1.3 billion plus viewers worldwide. Zee has been entertaining audiences since 1992 and has constantly been creating differentiated content just like this to cut across many tastes, preferences, culture, and age demographics. And Corporate Chameleon Story Project couldn't have found a better partner than Zee International, because they truly believe that extraordinary together. And that's what this story project has become all about. It has become extraordinary together. So thank you very much, Zee International, our presenting sponsor. Our associate sponsor, ICICI Lombard, thank you so much for all your support. Our publishing partners, Crossword and The Right Place, MGB and Conscious Development. Our television partner, Zee Business, radio partner, Radio City, digital media partner, India.com, and the event partners putting all of this together and creating this virtual experience and making it possible, On Stage Experiences LLP. Well, with that, we are ready with our first storyteller. I hope you all are ready as well. Now, to the audience, while you listen to these stories, listen to them very carefully, because at the end of our 10 storytellers, you, our audiences, will be voting and telling us which story made the biggest impact on you. How do you vote? You'll have to wait for that. At the end of our 10 storytellers, we will share the link with you to tell you where you can go and cast your vote. And your vote is very important to us. I'm told currently we have more than about 700 people watching this live across platforms. Spread the word and get more people to enjoy and grow with these stories. So here we are, ready with our first storyteller. She loves curating and creating engaging learning experiences for students. In her spare time, you will find her perfecting the dance moves or trying her hands at painting. But today, she's here to tell us her story about recreating the normal. From Pehla Akshar Foundation, please join me in welcoming our first storyteller of the storytelling project. This is Parita Shah. Here she is.
Thank you, Diyu. Do we all remember before the lockdown what the previous normal looked like? Do we all miss it? I am Parita, working with Pehla Akshar Foundation, and we envision to improve the quality of education of students across India. Like any other day, 5 months ago, a few of my team members walked into that classroom full of students eager to learn the English language in the most fun and engaging way that we do. A few of my other team members went to facilitate the problem-solving sessions with teachers in their self-help group model. I remember being busy with a few government officials trying to explain them the impact that we've made on 500 teachers and how we were planning to scale this program. All this was a part of our normal. And amid this, we suddenly received a mail alert that said, go to your homes, your safe spaces immediately. And while I was taken aback, I was also very proud to be a part of an organization that preaches exactly what it practices. We keep telling our teachers that the students need to feel safe and happy if they want to learn. Similarly, if we had to fight this pandemic together, we had to be safe, and at peace. It was this premise of safe space that kept us together, agile and innovative. We together made a decision that students' learning should not stop, will not stop. This gave us the momentum to launch our pilot learning, online learning with a few students on WhatsApp. We sent them a few stories, a few worksheets, and a few assignments with a lot of skepticism whether they will respond. We received an overwhelming response from all the students because they were so eager to keep learning. And that got us to start thinking, how do we increase their exposure? And so we started thinking like students. If you were trapped inside a house and you were a kid, what would keep your heart engaged and excited? And that made us realize what better way to learn than through stories. This gave us the most best campaign that we initiated called A Story a Day. We invite volunteers to record a video where they narrate a story in English, and we curate this video and we make it look better, and then we send it to the communication channel where we send it to the government, to the teachers and the students. This campaign ensures that every child has a story a day to listen to. And while this gave us the joy of being able to reach to so many students, there was severe anguish of not being able to reach out to the other lakhs of students who are out of school. And the only real way to be able to reach out to those students was not to reach them directly, but to reach through their educators. That's right. We stepped into the most valuable asset in the education system, the teachers. We created a 2-hour weekly workshop format, and we met 3,000 BMC teachers to share our learnings with them, the online learnings with them, so that they could implement that with their students. We also helped them create learning circles for them where they could discuss practices, implementations, challenges, and experiences. This model was a success, and that gave us the pride and the respect to move forward and expand our program to different locations like Nashik now and Delhi and Bangalore moving forward. I would like to share one incident that one of the teachers shared with me, and I just had to save it. Ma'am, मैं 4 महीने से कोशिश कर रही हूँ मेरे बच्चों से कनेक्ट करने की. कुछ भी हो रहा है, मैं बहुत कोशिश करती हूँ, ना बच्चों को टेक्नोलॉजी आता है ना मेरे को, एंड मैं स्ट्रगल कर रही हूँ बिकॉज आई वांट टू मीट माय स्टूडेंट्स, क्योंकि स्कूल एकदम से ही बंद हो गया. सो थैंक यू सो मच कि आपने ना ही मुझे जूम की ट्रेनिंग दी और टेक्नोलॉजी से वाकिफ कराया, बट यू ऑल्सो मेड इट पॉसिबल कि मेरे बच्चों को बहुत एक फन वर्चुअल सेशन मिले. आपने हमें वो लेसन प्लान्स भी दिए जो हम अच्छे तरीके से ऑनलाइन डिलीवर कर पा रहे थे. सो थैंक यू सो मच मैम. I'll never forget what she said to me. And to answer the earlier question, do I miss the old normal? No, I don't. Does my team miss the old normal? They don't either. It gives me immense pleasure to say that we've recreated our normal. At the heart of education is realizing that there's no one way to reach students. It means always being ready to adapt, improvise, and experiment. This pandemic has forced us to do that, and we became even better at what we do. Because as an organization, we will always keep our feet on the ground and our eyes to the sky. Thank you.
Absolutely wonderful, Parita. That was really, really nice. Keeping your feet to the ground and eyes to the sky. And what you really said is so true. Well, the pandemic, everyone's saying, oh, what a bad thing that's happened. But there are so many good things that have been coming out of this pandemic. Thank you very much for your story and sharing that with us and recreating the new normal. And a story a day will put a smile on your face and keep troubles away. I truly believe that. So thank you very much. Well, that was Parita Shah with her story. Thanks a lot, Parita. And I've been seeing people have been loving it. Inspiring, says Rohit Mundra. We've got Manjula saying, Parita, great. So it's really nice that our audiences are watching this and enjoying it at the same time. Please keep telling us how you're feeling through these stories. And here is our next storyteller. Chandrika Sen represents Afcon's Infrastructure Limited which is spread over 22 countries. She's here to share her story of humanity against adversity. And this is a story which says, from extreme engineering to COVID warriors. Over to Chandrika Sen for her story. Chandrika, before you start your story, you need to unmute yourself. Sorry about that. We'll do this again. This is the live virtual world. Things are very different. We're still learning. Not a problem. You can start.
Yeah, we are still learning. Yeah, let me start all over again. Okay,
Yes.
fine. So just close your eyes. Picture yourself in Bhutan. Breathe in the crisp mountain air. Not a bad idea, right? Considering it's among the few countries that have been able to keep the COVID numbers really low while the rest of the world struggles. Around March, as the virus tightened its noose, the royal government of Bhutan introduced the highest level of preventive measures that a country can possibly take, including closure of borders. Our company, Afcons, which is headquartered in Andheri, Mumbai, has been part of this beautiful country for a little over a year now. In 2019, Afconians, as we call ourselves, started building one of Bhutan's major urban development projects in the town of Phuentsholing near Amochu River. Now, this is also very close to the Indo-Bhutan border. You know what closure of borders mean, right? It's evacuating thousands of people while simultaneously building new homes for them. Given the scale of operations and the fast ticking clock, this seemed a near impossible task. You'll agree that housing is not about speed. It's about stability, and more so in earthquake-prone regions. Now, there was a moment when we thought that our hard work will come to nothing. All the time, attention to detail would be swept away as the virus charges in. And that's where our extreme engineers stepped in. They joined hands with the Royal Bhutan Army and other authorities to first wire fence the border. This barred all the unauthorized entries. One of Afcons' engineers and 5 workmen were deployed at the site full-time, along with close to 1,200 Royal Bhutan Army personnel. They were able to build homes for 1,000 families within a few weeks. During construction, we shared safety jackets, masks, thermal scanners, and meals with those involved in this unprecedented activity, which is perhaps the first time in the country and at such a tight schedule. In fact, our project manager, Mr. Ravi Chandra, made sure that borewells were dug up so that there was uninterrupted water supply for the families that moved in. When my colleagues and I saw these families moving into these shelters, we couldn't have felt prouder. So let me move on to who we are as a company. For over 6 decades now, Afcons has been creating engineering marvels in hostile location and under extreme conditions, from the world's highest motorable tunnel 3,000 meters above sea level below the Rohtang Pass to the world's tallest single arch railway bridge over the river Chena. Our extreme engineers make everything possible. Isn't it cool? I mean, isn't it awesome? Don't you think so? And we like to think that we serve the societies where we work with that same passion. Therefore, when COVID-19 spread, Afconians across the world hit the streets in the service of those rendered helpless. In Africa, our countries worked relentlessly in countries like Zambia, Ivory Coast, Mozambique, Mauritania. They worked relentlessly with local authorities to support people in distress. This happened in more than 10 countries in Africa. We also have plenty going back home. Our extreme engineers are extending support to essential services workers, the police, governments, village panchayats. Our team members from the Kolkata Metro team actually did something really exemplary. There were some of them who actually beat the virus, and they responded to the call of the state government and donated blood for plasma therapy. All this happened at the same time when the project team was constructing the deepest ventilation shaft in India. So whether it's in Patna, Nashik, Jammu and Kashmir, Afghanians have gone out of their comfort zones to help the society, keeping in mind strict social distancing and hygiene protocols. Our most meaningful contribution in this time of crisis has been devoting time and being around those who have struggled to survive. These times are like no one. You would agree, and so do I. But at AFCONS, my colleagues and I don't choose between safety and development. We are demonstrating that we can continue to build smartly, humanely, and strategically to improve the quality of life, even in the toughest of situations. The impossible is what we do and what we will keep doing every single day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chandrika, for that wonderful story. Any story set in Bhutan has to be beautiful and happy. After all, that is the country that has the world's first happiness quotient, right? Okay, yes.
Absolutely.
And, yeah, so they have a happiness index which they measure across their people. And I'm sure the Afghanians have made them very happy as well. Okay, so thank you.
They have also made us very happy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chandrika, for that wonderful story. That was Chandrika Sen from Extreme Engineering to COVID Warriors. Well, you'll get to hear many such stories which are coming up. Our next storyteller is already quite a hero when it comes to being a storyteller. He's got quite a lot of fans who are already excited, and I can see the comments section right from the beginning of this show going with his name saying, "Hey, Paresh, we are excited that you are here. Paresh, you've made a difference in our lives." Well, Paresh has been working in the development sector for the last 20 years. Basically, he's a nomad who loves to travel and an activist by heart. Paresh also writes stories and poems and is working on a novel based on migrants during the COVID-19 crisis. Today, Paresh is here to tell us a story, Eklavya, Abhi Bhi Zinda Hai. Let's find out what this is all about. From Tata Trust, this is Paresh Jayashree Manohar.
जनवरी की सर्दियों में अनिल का अंगूठा कट गया। अनिल एक 9 साल का बच्चा जिसे स्कूल में होना चाहिए खेतों में है, गन्ना काट रहा है। ये उन लाखों बच्चों में से है जो हर साल 6 से 8 महीने के लिए अपने पेरेंट्स के साथ में माइग्रेट करते हैं महाराष्ट्र में ही। ये लाखों बच्चे जिन्हें स्कूलों में होना चाहिए, जिन्हें खेलना चाहिए, पढ़ना चाहिए, ये खेतों में होते हैं, ये होटल में होते हैं, ये अपने भाई बहनों को संभालते हैं, घर के जानवरों की देखभाल करते हैं और कुछ नहीं तो बेवजह रास्तों पे भटकते हैं। इन्हें पढ़ना होता है पर इनके पास ना किताबें होती है, ना बस्ते, ना चप्पल, ना कोई स्कूल छोड़ने वाला। ये होते तो है पर हमें दिखते नहीं है, हमारी आंखों में चुभते नहीं है। ये लाखों बच्चे हर साल कहां से आते हैं, कहां जाते हैं, जहां जाते हैं वहां पढ़ते भी है या नहीं, इसकी कोई जानकारी हमारे पास नहीं होती और ना ही ये जानकारी होती है उन गांवों के पास जहां ये जाते हैं। पर ये मुझे दिखते हैं, मुझे चुभते हैं, क्योंकि मैं भी इनमें से एक हूं। मैंने 4 साल की उम्र में अपने ही कैंटीन में बर्तन साफ किए हैं, लोगों को चाय पिलाई है और इन बच्चों की तरह दर-बदर भटका हूं जिंदा रहने के लिए। ये चुभते हैं टाटा ट्रस्ट को, टाटा ट्रस्ट में हमारी डेटा ड्रिवन गवर्नेंस टीम को। पिछले 6 सालों से हमारा टीम जानकारी को अपना हथियार बनाकर इसी तरह के कई सवालों से उलझने की कोशिश कर रहा है। हम क्या करते हैं? जब भी शुगर फैक्ट्री का सीजन शुरू होता है तब इन माइग्रेंट बस्तियों में हम लोग जाते हैं, उनकी जानकारी लेते हैं। यहाँ पे जो बच्चे 6 से 14 साल के बीच वाले हैं, जिनके लिए राइट टू एजुकेशन एक्ट बना था, उन बच्चों की पूरी जानकारी लेते हैं। मसलन क्या ये बच्चे अपने गांव में स्कूल में जाते हैं? अगर हाँ तो कौन सी कक्षा में है? अगर नहीं जाते तो क्यों नहीं जाते? क्या करते हैं? ये सब जानकारी लेने के बाद में हमारे साथी इन बच्चों को पास की गवर्नमेंट स्कूल में एनरोल कराते हैं और हर बार इन बच्चों के बस्तियों में जाके इन्हें स्कूल तक ले जाते हैं। जो बच्चे स्कूल में नहीं आ पाते उन बच्चों के लिए भी हम स्पोर्ट्स एक्टिविटीज करते हैं, लाइब्रेरी चलाते हैं, उन्हें शिक्षा से जोड़े रखने की भरकस प्रयास हम लोग करते रहते हैं। ये बच्चे जो स्कूलों में नहीं जा सकते, उनकी कई तरह की कहानियां हैं, कई रीजन है। पिछले 4 सालों में हमने तकरीबन 3500 बच्चों के साथ में काम किया है, जिसमें से 2500 बच्चों को हम स्कूलों तक ले जा पाए। जो नहीं गए उनकी जानकारी इकट्ठा करना, उनकी वजहों को समझना, उसे डॉक्यूमेंट करना हमारे प्रोजेक्ट का बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट ऑब्जेक्टिव रहा है। क्या हम जानते हैं कि बालों में लगाने के लिए तेल ना होना किसी बच्ची को स्कूल से बाहर रख सकता है। एक 7 साल की बच्ची अपने पूरे परिवार का खाना बनाने के लिए स्कूल छोड़ती है। एक 6 साल का लड़का अपने 3 साल के भाई को संभालने के लिए स्कूल से बाहर होता है। ये और इस तरह के कई रीजंस है जो इन बच्चों को स्कूलों से बाहर रखते हैं। पर हमारे प्रोजेक्ट का नाम प्रोजेक्ट आशा है, तो हमें पता है कि हम डेफिनेटली इन्हें स्कूलों तक ले जाएंगे। आपको अनिल याद है, वही 9 साल का बच्चा, उसे अस्पताल में 10 दिन तक रहना पड़ा अपने पिताजी के साथ, और उधर उसकी माँ गन्ना काट रही थी उसके बड़े भाई के साथ। बड़ा भाई जिसका उम्र 11 साल का है। अनिल के हाथ का प्लास्टिक सर्जरी करना पड़ा। अनिल का प्लास्टिक सर्जरी तो हो गया, क्या हमारे सिस्टम का प्लास्टिक सर्जरी हो सकता है? हमने सुना था हजारों साल पहले एक एकलव्य था, आज हजारों एकलव्य है। एकलव्य अभी भी जिंदा है। थैंक यू।
परेश, क्या बढ़िया कहानी है। दिस इज द सेकंड टाइम आई एम हियरिंग दिस स्टोरी, लेकिन हर बार रोंगटे खड़े हो जाते हैं इन अ वे, जस्ट सेइंग एकलव्य अभी भी बहुत सारे हैं हमारे बीच। एंड आई थिंक टाटा ट्रस्ट डज अ फैंटास्टिक जॉब। और कमेंट सेक्शन आप ऑलरेडी देख रहे हैं, हमारे और आपके कितने सारे दोस्त, कितने सारे शुभचिंतक who all love what you do, what Tata Trust does. So thank you very much for sharing that story with us. We are really, really happy that you could be part of this. I hope you enjoyed, Paresh.
Yeah, definitely. मैं काम भी एंजॉय किया और ये स्टोरी भी एंजॉय किया। थैंक यू।
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Paresh. That was Paresh Manohar telling us his story about Eklavya Abhi Bhi Zinda Hai. Well, we have a lot of special people watching this show right now. Very much a lot of special guests who are all part of this show right now, watching it over Facebook, watching it in our studios right here. And one of them is Alpa Vora, who has a master's in social work and is a child protection specialist with UNICEF in Maharashtra. Alpa has been a campaigner for child rights in India and a founder member of India's campaign against child labor. She's here to tell us how stories make a difference. She has led innovative approaches for harm prevention to address risks and vulnerabilities faced by children living in institutions. So, Alpa is here to share her thoughts on storytelling. Over to Alpa. Hi, Alpa.
Congratulations to the Corporate Chameleon team. I'm indeed very, very excited to be part of this initiative. We are living in very strange times, and the pandemic has indeed forced us to have a relook, a hard, long look at our lives and the patterns by which we live. I think in this process of us trying to rejig our lives, it's really a great moment to think of how we could promote caring and sharing, how we could look at the collective beyond individuals, and also embrace sustainable living. I'm really excited about this idea of the Corporate Chameleon putting together stories of profound change and transformation. And they're really special because the corporates and the individuals and organizations have actually gone beyond their call of duty. So these stories of change, the stories of doing something differently, of innovating and making such a difference to the lives of people, to the socially and economically marginalized, to the environment and the world around us, is indeed extremely heartwarming.
Thank you very much, Alpa, for sharing that with us. And thank you for saying that this is a wonderful project. It's the stories that make change. Well, stories that make a change is what Corporate Chameleon strongly believes in. Not just through the story project, but through all the other wonderful work that it does in the world of storytelling. In fact, Storytelling Works is another project which Corporate Chameleon works on strongly. And part of Corporate Chameleon is AMEESHA, who has been working in the field of language, EI, and life skills for the last 2 decades with schools and NGOs. The search for human interest stories is her passion, and she currently fulfills that through her work that she does with the Corporate Chameleons team. AMEESHA is not part of the competition in a way, but she's here to tell us a story and tell us how storytelling really works and makes an impact. Here is AMEESHA with her story.
Ma'am, don't worry. Don't worry is a phrase all of us hear so often colloquially spoken, and used for multiple reasons, starting from reassurances to pacifying and soothing. But for me, every time I hear the words, "don't worry," Samir's voice reverberates in my ears and his face flashes in front of my eyes. Let me take you back to January 2020. My organization works with stories for change. We work with corporates and in schools. In this particular instance, Sudipta and me were working in the juvenile home in Dongri on a project called Hum Honge Kamyab with UNICEF. The project's aim was reducing recidivism in juveniles, as research shows that almost 67% of juveniles are repeat offenders. Our key belief was that building emotional intelligence improves self-esteem, confidence, and resilience. The one particular day that I remember better than all others was our 10th session on storytelling and EI. The children loved to hear our stories and were always completely engaged in the interactions and questions that followed. Our sessions basically gave them a safe space to share without being judged. Through our sessions, we had dealt with various issues like anger management, fear, family, socioeconomic conditions, etc. That Friday, we had around 20 16 to 18-year-old boys in our session. It was a session on storytelling and EI. Samir was a 17-year-old repeat offender. Samir always sat on the last bench. He never participated in any of the interactions. He distracted his peers with snide comments and personal remarks. He would giggle during class. And he was basically very disinterested. He avoided eye contact. Whenever he was asked a direct question, he always said, "मुझे तो कोई फर्क ही नहीं पड़ता है, मुझे ये सब चीज में इंटरेस्ट ही नहीं है, अब तो मेरे माँ बाप भी मुझे यहाँ से छुड़ाने नहीं आएंगे, तो फिर मैं क्यों मेहनत करूँ?" Anyway, this particular Friday, we were dealing with goal setting and hope for the future. So one of the exercises was for the children to imagine where they see themselves when they're 25 years old, what sort of life they would have, what would be their livelihood, who would be they living with, and so on. When it was Samir's turn, he very reluctantly stood up and he says, "मैं तो डॉन बनूंगा, मैं अपने इलाके का डॉन बनूंगा, मुझे तो खून वून करना एकदम ही ठीक लगता है, ये सब तो एकदम मामूली चीज है, अपना तो रुबाब होना चाहिए ना इलाके में, गाड़ी वाड़ी लेके निकलेंगे तो 4 लोग सलाम भरना चाहिए." I really tried to maintain a straight face. It just, made me feel like such a failure that we were doing something really not so right. Anyway, with great difficulty, I maintained a straight face, and when Samir finished, I moved on to the next child. I noticed that Samir did not make eye contact during this entire conversation, but he had a slight twinkle to his eye. Normally, when our sessions get over, the children would thank us and then leave. Now that day, Samir slowly walks up to me, stands there, looks me in the eye, he smiles, and then says, "Ma'am, don't worry. I didn't mean what I said earlier." I was looking at him, and he still continued to maintain eye contact. मैं है ना मेरा 8th स्टैंडर्ड फिनिश कर लिया है, मैं अभी मेरा 10th का बोर्ड एग्जाम दूंगा यहाँ से निकलने के बाद, और मेरे पापा की एक दुकान है, तो मैं ना आई विल मेक अ चेन ऑफ शॉप्स, आई विल एक्सपैंड माय बिजनेस, बट मैम यू डोंट वरी, मैं है ना, आई प्रॉमिस आई विल नेवर कम बैक टू डोंगरी अगेन. My eyes were moist and my heart was full. It is like that those 2 words, "don't worry, man," will really stay with me forever. So much of teaching is about planting seeds. Sometimes the seeds germinate immediately, sometimes they take a long while, and sometimes they need to be planted next to other seeds to germinate. For Sameer, I think something changed that day. For all of us, for me especially, something definitely shifted. And it gave us the confidence and the hope that we were on the right track. "Don't worry, ma'am," will always stay with me. Thank you.
Absolutely wonderful, Amisha ma'am. I'm going to call you Amisha ma'am because of that story. But that was absolutely wonderful. And that's a true testimony that storytelling does work, right?
Absolutely. It's miraculous the way it
It's
works.
it is miraculous. The power of stories and the power of storytelling, well, it's changed the world and it continues to do that. Thank you very much, Amisha, for sharing that story with us. Though it's not part of the competition, it's a story that truly has an impact on all of us and reminds us that storytelling definitely has a place in this world and it definitely works. So that was Amisha's story. Thank you, ma'am. Okay. Well, our next storyteller is an innovation consultant focused on connecting the dots. He heads Chlorophyll Innovation Lab, a cross-disciplinary innovation collective with 800 global innovators working together to solve complex businesses, brand, or societal problems. Also the founder of the Plated Project, a global initiative to use art to help end hunger. Well, this is Chitresh Sinha telling us a story about a plate full of hope from Chlorophyll Innovation Lab, Chitresh Sinha.
Hi, I'm Chitresh. So during the lockdown, I'm sure all of us heard these amazing stories about how people have changed, right? Well, the big change in me is that I've started missing Mumbai traffic. Now, I know you're thinking this sounds crazy. How can anybody in their right mind actually miss traffic? Well, I do, because that's where my amazing story began exactly a year back. One rainy evening last July, I was stuck in this massive traffic jam. And I was doing what most of us do. I was scrolling through my Instagram feed. And I kept going past images of my friends, selfies of their dogs, selfies of celebrities. And then this one ad made me pause. It actually said in big bold letters, hunger kills more people every year than AIDS, terrorism, and malaria combined. And I said, wow, I didn't know that. And then I kept scrolling. I remember I ended up buying two dinner plates that I saw in another ad, which were these cute little artsy things. I then totally forgot about these two seemingly unrelated incidents. Cut to a week later, and I was sitting in this massive brainstorming session at work. So, one of the things that we do at Chlorophyll is that every year we pick one social issue that we want to tackle, and we try and solve it in a really unconventional way. So, we were trying to think of the problem to pick this year. And out of nowhere, I remember the ad about hunger popping up in my mind. So we Googled it, and the actual number is 9 million. 9 million people every year are killed because of hunger. So that's the issue that we picked. Next step, we were thinking about ideas as to how do you solve this problem. And I remember mentioning the other ad that I saw that day for the dinner plates. And just like the movies, out of nowhere, Dhruvi, a designer in my team, jumped out of her chair, grabbed a marker, and scribbled on the whiteboard, buy a plate, fill a plate. And that's how the Plated Project was born. It's an initiative where we collaborate with global artists from around the world and we create limited edition art plates like this one here. Each plate, when sold, puts food on somebody else's plates. So we launched our first series in October of last year and we managed to sponsor 5,000 meals with it. It was a small start, but we started working on our next big series for this year. We were about to launch it and COVID struck. Suddenly, 140 million people lost their jobs, with most of them being daily wage earners. That hit us hard. So we scrapped everything that we had worked on for the past few months and instead launched a series to help the migrant workers who've lost their jobs. It was called A Plateful of Hope, and our aim was to sponsor 1 lakh meals with that series. So we needed two things. One, the art for the plates. Two, the actual plates itself. So for the art, we spent a week reaching out to artists from around the world. 20 global artists agreed to participate in this initiative with us. Each one created art that depicted hope from their part of the world during the lockdown. Now, second step was to actually produce the plates, right? So we reached out to sponsors. Now, we did not want to ask for charity ourselves, so we made our sponsors a business offer. We told them that for every 1 lakh rupee that they gave us, we would donate 1.5 lakhs on their behalf to Gunj, one of India's largest fundraising platforms. The math was simple. We were asking them to cover our production costs. We were going to mark up the price of the plate and then sell it to customers. And 100% of the money that a customer paid, we would donate to charity. Sound like a win-win, right? But I still remember waking up that day on 1st June when we were going to launch and panicking. I was thinking to myself, who would want to buy art during an economic crisis? People were losing jobs. But we still went ahead and launched. And then magic happened. We sold out the entire collection in less than a month. We made global headlines because global publications wrote about us all over the world, and we didn't pay for any of this. We had people order our plates from Denmark to Russia. And instead of the 1 lakh that we had as a goal, we actually exceeded that and managed to sponsor 1.5 lakh meals in just a month. And we've not stopped. Even today, when we sell a plate on the Plated project, 60 meals are sponsored by each sale. So now you know why I miss Mumbai traffic. Sometimes traffic lets us slow down and it makes us think about all the blind spots in our life. Sometimes traffic leads to magical things. Thank you.
What a wonderful story that was, Chitresh. Absolutely inspiring. Okay. And who knew that food could be that inspiring, right? Or rather, lack of food in a certain way. When you put those numbers, I actually went and Googled while you were telling us those numbers to find out what the total number of deaths for COVID are. And it's only about 836 right now compared to the 9 million that you spoke. So even if you put COVID, hunger is still more deadlier and dangerous. And I think the Plated Project does a wonderful job. So thank you very much for sharing that story with us, Chitresh.
Thank you. Thanks a ton. Thanks for having me.
Great. So that was Chitresh Sinha telling us his story, A Plate Full of Hope. Our next storyteller, well, she comes from the land of stories. And the reason I say that, because Priyanka grew up reading Amar Chitrakatha and Tinkle, but little did she know that she would one day be part of the most amazing storytelling team, which is Amar Chitrakatha. She moved from Kolkata to Mumbai to pursue this exciting career. A foodie at heart, outside work, she is passionate about practicing and teaching meditation. Priyanka Gupta is here to tell us a story from Amar Chitrakatha, a family that plays together, bonds together. So it's over to Priyanka.
Let me take you back to the 1960s. It was a warm day in Karol Bagh, Delhi. A man, Anant Pai, or fondly known as Uncle Pai, was out shopping with his wife when he stopped at a TV shop. And on the TV shop, there was a quiz show happening. Trivia and quiz always fascinated Uncle Pai. So obviously, he stopped, he paused, he leaned in and intently listened, keenly listened to the quiz show. The first question that came up was a question on Greek mythology, which the participants could answer very, very easily. The next question, however, was on Indian mythology, which no kid could answer correctly. Suddenly, a thought struck Uncle Pai. How could children so confidently answer Greek mythology but fumble at a simple question on Indian mythology, which is who is Ram's mother? He knew something had to be done, and that's how Amar Chitrakatha was envisioned, with quizzing at its heart. Uncle Pai used to go to schools himself, and he used to conduct the ACK quiz on Indian mythology and history, where it was very popular. The children used to wait for him to come down and take this quiz. Imagine 25 to 30 years ago, a school contact program. Let me take you to on another warm, sunny day, but this time in Maharashtra, Mumbai, in 2019. A bunch of our team members were sitting together and thinking, how do we get this ACK quiz back? And that's when the entire team came up with many, many different plans. We had different ideas coming up, and the team worked together to make a solid timeline, a solid deadline, a solid plan in place. We were ready to launch when the lockdown happened. That dampened our plans, but not our spirit. We realized that even though teams or families or audiences can't step out, they can participate from wherever they are and with whoever they are. So that's how we envisioned the ACK Family Quiz Season 1. The format of the show was very simple. Monday to Friday on our app, on our website, there was this quiz that went live at 10 a.m. every morning. 4 top scorers from a fortnight advanced to play a live semi-final round, which was streamed on our social media handles. And winners from these rounds will advance to play the finals, which is the Amar Chitrakatha Family Quiz Championship title on the 19th of September, which happens to be 2 days from Uncle Pai's 91st birth anniversary. It's a huge, an emotion that came up, swelled up in us when this started happening. because people not only from India but across the world, US, UK, Singapore, Bahrain, Malaysia, people from all these countries were also participating and were enjoying the quiz. In fact, when families play the quiz, the joy that they feel, we feel it as if it is our own family playing and winning the quiz. In fact, one of the families even mentioned that they have an alarm put every day to make sure that they do not miss the quiz. So this pandemic has already done what it did, but it also brought a lot of joy in a lot of different ways to a lot of families. So before I wrap up, there's a question that I want to leave you with. If you had planned something and that did not go that particular fashion, what would you do? A, give up. B, feel miserable. Or C, pick up the pieces and make it happen no matter what. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Priyanka, for that wonderful story of no matter what, going through it during the tough times. And that's exactly what the storytelling project has also done, just like the Amar Chitrakatha quiz. Okay, we've kind of stuck with it. We said, let's make this happen. Okay, and I can see that smile on your face, the joy of making it happen, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And the joy of seeing it on the participants' faces.
Of course,
of our leaders.
that is priceless, as they say. And today you storytellers are bringing that same joy to our audiences who are watching this over Facebook. The comment section is just buzzing with all the love and appreciation that they have for our storytellers. So thank you very, very much, Priyanka, for sharing that story with us, and all the best to you and the ACK team. Great. Wonderful stories coming your way. Remember, you will be voting for the story that had the most impact on you at the end of our 10 storytellers. We are halfway there, 5 storytellers done. It's storyteller number 6. An ex-corporate junkie, a content creator at present, she is happiest when staring at multiple deadlines. As a counterpoint, she loves dreaming or dreaming of traveling. Well, Meghna Badola, A Table for All is her story from Soul Production. This is Meghna with her story, A Table for All.
Thank you, Dew. Hi, I'm Meghna. I work with a company called Sol, that's SOL. We're a media production company. We create content for various media. We work with leading broadcasters, OTT networks for almost 2 decades now. We're known for our unscripted programming, and we are the makers of country's most talked about chat show, Coffee with Karan. My story today is about the essence of Sol and what it stands for. Hey, you, come and sit with us at the table. And what's in your dabba, huh? Hope it's not something spicy. Sounds like a bully in school, doesn't it? But it's not. That's actually how everyone is assimilated into Sol. The first rite of passage into the organization is not when you walk through their main door. It's actually when you come and sit at their lunch table. I've often heard complete outsiders say that they feel like they're a part of Sol. They feel respected, looked after, valued. And I remember even I did, because I used to be a client earlier. And I always felt like, I was part of the company. Every time I went to their office, I felt a welcoming spirit. No one was huddled away in cubicles. Everyone was excited to see me, ready to share their thoughts and ask me how I was doing. And I always used to wonder why. And then when I actually became a part of Sol, I realized why. It's because of the atmosphere that everyone, I can say from top to the bottom, has created and has sustained over a period of time. So on my first day at Sol, when I sat at that lunch table, I saw smiling faces of Fazila and Kamna and the rest of the team, and I felt home. It was like being part of this big, happy, warm family, a family that looks out for each other, that works together, that pitches in when required, and brings in various skills, talents, everything into the projects they do with so much passion. The work environment is like a mirror to that lunch table, I can say, where there's different kind of food, there's cultures, there's tastes, sharing, and where, an absentee made in your house makes no difference, because you can be sure that someone on that table has brought extra rotis for you. Where on a table meant for 8, there's always over 15 people comfortably sitting, adjusting, enjoying. There's always room for everyone. A colleague, an intern, We have freelancers, guests, friends, pets, kids, anyone and everyone. Even in the most adverse situations like the current COVID times, it is this teamwork that sort of got us through and is getting us through, because we're always there for each other. We've got each other's backs. And now that I'm a part of it, I realize that just like sharing dishes to eat, everyone, all of us have something to contribute. We've had a fair share of struggles too, struggling with client briefs, managing budgets, to even executing in situations which are not always friendly, like there are monsoons sometimes, there's sickness, somebody falls ill, there's technology failure, there's anything can go wrong. But those are struggles that it's just about how to get the work done. But the one thing that we have never struggled about is the politics or the power dynamics, or things that plague so many other workplaces these days. And that teamwork always gets us through. I have learned to value people at Sol. I have learned to be honest. I have learned to maintain relationships, to be respectful of everyone. And I think that we all keep functioning because we love food so much, and that we extend that lunch table to everything that we do. So yes, we cannot function without food, but we also cannot function without each other. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Meghna. What a wonderful story. I love stories that are about food and that have food as part of their, as the main hero of the story. I think it's absolutely wonderful. And you were talking about how, as a client, you went to Sol, and then you would always find it very welcoming. We used to do the same thing. I remember when I would plan all my meetings with clients, during the evening time when it was chai time, because you knew you went there and you could get a cup of chai, and we knew exactly which client had good chai or good coffee, so we could choose.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's absolutely wonderful. And I think these days we miss that chai at work, isn't it?
Absolutely. We miss the table, we miss the chai, but we miss everything, all the food. But
True,
it's great,
very
yeah.
true. Very true. In fact, I must tell you, On-Stage Experiences, which is also the event partner for the Corporate Chameleon, has started this wonderful project, which we are calling Chai at 5. It's your work from home chai, which is an online chai break that you can take every Wednesday so far. It's a weekly program. Every Wednesdays at 5 o'clock, you bring the chai, we bring the chill. That's what it is.
Nice.
Okay, so there's
Very
music,
nice.
there's fun. You can take a break from your work from home, because these days the biggest complaint I'm hearing from people is when I'm working from home, I forget when I'm at home and when I'm at work. So we're saying at Chai at 5, take your break, come chill with us and have some fun. So that's every Wednesdays. You should log in. It's on Facebook on the On-Stage Experiences page. But thank you so much, Meghna, for telling us that wonderful story around food. Well, that was Meghna's story around food, a table for all. Our next storyteller also has food somewhere in his story. Roti, kapda, and medicine. That's Gaurab's story. Gaurav is a technology enthusiast who loves to build sustainable and meaningful things. He represents Robert Bosch Engineering and Business Solutions, and this is Gaurav Paul with his story, Roti, Kapda, and Medicine.
On 24th March, 8 p.m., when India went into a lockdown due to the COVID-19 pandemic, Brijesh was dumbstruck. His mind was racing with thoughts of uncertainty and fear. He knew that from tomorrow, he would be jobless and would have to fend for his family. He had a meager savings of 4,000 rupees, which would last him only for a few days. For 30 years, he had patiently pulled his family out of the clutches of poverty, and hopelessly he could see that this unforgiving situation will suck his family into the black hole of poverty again. Now, migrant workers like Brijesh were one of the worst struck populations in Coimbatore. Unfortunately for Brijesh, the turmoil was not just losing his livelihood. The government and the NGOs who were actively providing relief to vulnerable people were somehow not coming to his neighborhood. And as it turns out, around 20% of vulnerable people in Coimbatore were faced with similar problems. The relief provider, however, did prepare hot food and packets of essentials for thousands of people, but the problem was that they did not know where to find many of them, which included families of Brijesh. As a result, almost 35% of the vulnerable population had received relief multiple times, whereas 20% of the population received relief none, never. The CSR wing of Bosch jumped into the foray to solve this supply demand gap. My role was to get problem solving Boschlers on board, and we decided to build a low cost, high impact solution which could be delivered on the ground. The team decided to build a simple digital platform which would connect vulnerable people with NGOs. And once the full extent of the demand was identified, the NGOs and the government could plan and provide relief more effectively. A key belief of Bosch is invented for life, which has been exemplified by numerous solutions which impact the society positively. And in this case, it has been exemplified by a high impact digital solution where the organization had put spotlight on people like Brijesh and supported them so that they do not slip back into poverty. In tough times, it is incredibly important that we remember that we are all in this together. No one is disconnected from society. If society succeeds, companies succeed. And if society fails, companies fail. Rather than running ahead, the job of those few lucky enough to have a little bit more is to look around and see how many people they can pull up with them. If all of us do that little part, can you imagine what impact we could create? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gaurav, for that wonderful story. It's all about creating the impact at the end of it. And you truly said, if societies succeed, organizations would succeed. It's only we wish that most organizations would keep that in mind so that society and organizations both could grow. Thank you very much for your story, Gaurav. I hope you enjoyed the experience. Well, that was Gaurav Paul with his story, Roti Kapda and Medicine. We'll take a little break from the storytelling, but we will stick with the theme of telling stories through music. We have a very, very talented young musician, Rohan, who's part of a band called Orion. Rohan's got a mesmerizing voice. And Rohan said, hey, I'd like to be part of this storytelling with my music. So here is Rohan performing a few songs for us while we take a little break from the storytelling and let's get into some story singing. So this is Rohan from Orion. Rohan, you're on mute.
You're muted. Can you guys hear me now? Okay, I'm just setting up the mic. Let me know if you can hear me. I've just set up the mic. Let me know if you can hear me. Okay, great. Okay. So, hello everyone. Hello. Thank you, Dio, first of all, for the nice words. My name is Rohan, and I have a band called the Orion. I'm gonna do a couple of songs for you guys. And here's the first song that I'm gonna do. This is a very, very new song. It's trending all over the world, and there is no particular story behind it. But I think my theme of today's songs that I'm going to do, the theme that I came up with is rediscovery. The entire lockdown situation, the entire pandemic situation, it's been a terrible disaster for everyone in the world. But it is also given an opportunity to everyone to rediscover themselves. And when I heard this particular song that I'm going to do right now, I thought of rediscovering myself with the kind of music that I was doing. And I am classically trained. I'm from a Hindustani classical background, but for a long time I have been doing Bollywood songs and all. And so I thought of doing this song, and I hope you guys enjoy this. So here it goes, guys. Let me know if the volume is fine. Okay. So here is the first song, guys. तू सब्र का सामान, मैं वायरल हुई जुबान, फिर भी हम दोनों फंस गए यहाँ. तू सब्र का सामान, मैं वायरल हुई जुबान, फिर भी हम दोनों फंस गए यहाँ. ये मीम से होती बातें, ये वीडियो कॉलिंग रातें, हमको देखो हो गया है क्या. सब अच्छा लग रहा है, ये बच्चा लग रहा है, हम तो कब तक जिएंगे जहाँ. सेल्फी से लगते प्यारे, पर खुद को खुद से हारे, क्यों अपनी लाइफ से खेले, जिए कोई जादू शोना. हो सजन बिन आए ना मोहन दिया, नैन भर आए दे जागे रतिया. काहे तुम मोहे सजन पिया दे, देखे ये नजारे माने न अपनी अखियां. अब जन बिन आए ना मोहन दिया. Thank you. So this was the first song. I hope I was audible enough. Okay, so this was the first song. So this is the second song that I'm going to do. The second song is a little bit more intense. The song is called Phir Se Chala from the film Rockstar. And as I said, self-discovery is something that I have chosen for myself during this pandemic. And I'm trying to discover myself in different ways, just as I'm trying to understand how Hindustani classical work again. But this song is more special to me because there was a time in life where I was completely lost, and this song is all about moving away from everything and understanding what you want and what you need. And I think this was the right time when I realized what actually I need and what I want. So here is the song Phir Se Chala, and I hope you guys enjoy this. Thank you, Sudipta Dhruva. If you guys are enjoying this, please send me the comments. Let me know if it's nice, if it's fine. So here it goes. फिर से उड़ चला, उड़ के छोड़ा है जहान नीचे मैं तुम्हारे हो हवाले. अब दूर दूर लोग बाग मीलों दूर ये वादियां, फिर धुआं धुआं तनु हर बदली चली आती है छूने. और कोई बदली अभी कहीं कर दे तन के लाए बिना हो. मंजर पर मैं रुका नहीं, कभी खुद से भी मैं मिला नहीं, ये गिला तो है पर खफा नहीं, शहर एक से गाँव एक से लोग एक से नाम एक फिर से उड़ चला मिट्टी जैसे सपने ये किताबी पलकों से चारों फिर आ जाते हैं, दिखते सारे सपने क्या कहूँ किस तरह से मैंने तोड़े हैं छोड़े हैं क्यों फिर साथ चले मुझे नहीं उड़ेंगे क्यों कभी डाल डाल कभी पात पात मेरे साथ साथ कभी दर दरी है कभी सहरा कभी सावन मनोरामन क्यों मन मन के कभी डाल डाल कभी पात पात कभी दिन है रात कभी दिन दिन क्या सच है क्या माया है दाता है दाता इधर उधर तितर बितर क्या है पता हवा नहीं जाए तेरी हो पीछे तेरी यादें तेरी हो चुचुरु 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 फिर से उड़ चला Thank you. Thank you so much, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed these two songs. If you enjoyed my singing, if you enjoyed the music, then please follow our page Orion Live 420. It's on Instagram. It's Orion Live 420 again. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and over to you again, Duke. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Rohan. That was absolutely wonderful. And thank you so much for performing for all of us. Yeah. Well, Rohan's also performed on Chai at 5, which is the show that we were talking to you about. So this is the kind of chill that we can also bring to your Chai as well. So thanks a lot, Rohan, for adding the music to the storytelling. Well, we'll move on to our storytelling right now. We actually have a comment from Veena Mehta, which is how to vote and when. Veena, we will tell you very, very soon. Once all our storytellers are done, that's when the voting will open. So hold on. We still have 3 more storytellers to go. And after that, the voting will open. So our next storyteller leads the CSR and sustainability practice at MGB. Of all things CSR, she's most passionate about women empowerment. She appreciates simplicity, logic, and little joys in life. And she believes that God has been very kind to her. This is Devanshi Dwivedi with her story, The Warrior. So it's over to Devanshi from MGB Advisors Private Limited.
Namrata, my colleague from work, was so relieved on this one particular Monday a few weeks ago. Her domestic help Manda had finally resumed work with the facial mask on and the hygiene rules checked. Like always, Manda had brought her 14-year-old daughter Pinky with her since she didn't have school. It was good to see the house full after so long. Namrata sat by the window with her laptop, ready to get on a team call in 15 minutes. She looked out of the window. Her mind sailed over the raindrops down to a time in 2007. That year, her best friends Ashish and Nikita had gotten their internships at MGB, a financial and business advisory firm in Mumbai. Back then, MGB was a small family-owned firm with an office in Churchgate, unlike the big company it is now, with an expansive office at Lower Parel and also in 3 other cities. Namrata wanted to join her friends and applied for an internship at MGB too. There wasn't enough space to accommodate many interns, so the vast majority of them were turned away empty-handed. But Namrata, the warrior she was, she applied 8 times. Yes, she was called for an interview and she got selected for her persistence. She was somehow accommodated despite the space crunch. She completed her internship and started her permanent employment at MGB's assurance department. During that time, she met Vishal and both got married. In 2013, Namrata and Vishal were expecting. Namrata now thought it's going to be difficult to give her best at work with these newer commitments. But the firm promised her all the support she needed. In fact, she was compensated more for her to afford to travel in a private car with a driver during the months that she was pregnant. Amazingly, with all the support, Namrata was working until one day before her delivery. Then the cutest baby Adya was born. Namrata then took her maternity leave for 6 months. She joined back with full support of the company, allowing her flexi hours at work and leaves here and there on not so good postpartum days or when baby Adya fell sick. And now on this particular Monday, sitting by the window, she thought how in the past 13 years until today, MGB has always had her back. A sudden melodious laughter brought her back from the nostalgia. It was Pinky's free-spirited laugh, watching a video on her mother's phone. Looking at her, Namrata thought, how last year Manda had started bringing Pinky home 3 to 4 days a stretch each month. Namrata asked, why is Pinky missing so much school? She learned that Pinky was going through puberty and the changes were confusing and scary for her. She felt like school was too much to handle during the days when she was menstruating. Namrata was concerned. That week she spoke to me in office and shared her concern how Pinky missed so many days each month at school. I told Namrata I was so happy that she brought this up because we do run a CSR project called Amodini, which is on menstrual hygiene and nutritional awareness for adolescent girls. Through this project, we've reached out to more than 3,500 girls in government and tribal schools. I told her she should definitely connect Pinky to the project and we'll be happy to help in any way possible. Namrata recalled how Pinky had come to her after a month and said, Didi, आपकी ऑफिस वाली दीदी हमारी स्कूल आई थी. मैं महावरी में भी स्कूल जा सकती हूँ. Namrata smiled and told herself, MGB doesn't have just my back. Many such stories. I'm proud to be a part of MGB, where my idea of women empowerment rightly aligns with the company's. At MGB, we realize that every girl is a warrior, a parthi. She only needs to be reminded. Thank you.
That was absolutely wonderful, Devanshi. I think we can all sense the pride that you carry with you in your heart, the fact that you work with an organization that is really supportive, and we can see that and sense that through your story. I hope you enjoyed sharing this story with all of us.
Of course, I did.
Of course. And I'm sure you've made your colleagues, your organization very, very proud through that story. So thank you very much.
Namrata is live. Namrata is live.
Namrata is live. She's watching it.
Yes.
And of course, we can see all those wonderful comments coming in from your friends, from your colleagues, and people who've just got to know you and got to know the wonderful work that MGB does. So thank you very much, Devanshi, for sharing that story with us.
Thank you.
Wonderful. See, look at the difference these organizations are making. From small to big, it really doesn't matter. It's all about creating a wonderful world, a wonderful space where we can all coexist together in love, peace, and harmony. Our next storyteller is a filmmaker, a producer, director, writer of some of the most prestigious television shows in India. She runs a production house that creates unique content that combines commercial content with social impact content. From creating the first anthem for Tihar Jail to celebrating the first anthem for ILO in the world, she believes that her responsibility towards society is most important to keep in mind while presenting anything to the world. This is her story, Bhor, from Me Too Films, Shruti Anandita Verma. This is Shruti.
The characters do change, but not the story. The story remains the same. The story of abuse. Every time the story of abuse is retold, a little in me fades out into the darkness of empathy and pain. That night changed my life forever. My whole world came crumbling down. My sister, an actor by profession and an animal lover by heart, was not ready to marry a guy whom she'd been dating for steady 7 years. And I did not know why. We decided to meet for coffee, and I had the hidden agenda of communicating what everyone in the family expected from her. Marriage, what else? But she reacted. She said she did not trust men, and she burst down. And then she narrated her ordeal, piece by piece. My sister was a victim of abuse, and she had been suffering silently. I could not sleep that night. Every detail of the day's conversation remained as vivid and as graphic as it could be. That night, out of my helplessness, Bhor was born. Bhor was not a film for me. I needed to speak about this, and Bhor was my platform. There were definitely no takers for this film. The film turned out to be a hard-hitting, sensitive film. The film meant business without mincing words. It raised questions. But my story does not end there. Bhor was invited to a lot of international film festivals all over the world. It was also nominated at the Mumbai International Short Film Festival, my home ground. Bhor was the last film to be screened on the day of the festival. And in the tea break, a young 23-year-old filmmaker walked up to me and told me that my film had hugely impacted her. We got into a conversation, and she spoke about her ordeal at the Film Institute, Pune, by a professor of editing. She tried to speak to a few seniors and a few friends, but no one stood in support. So she remained silent. But on seeing my film, all that she had gone through surfaced again. The festival was in its last leg. The jury was announced. And incredibly, this girl's abuser professor was also a part of the jury. There are no coincidences in life. And that day I began to believe in that. This young girl's shot was one of the film that won. So when her name was called out, she started walking towards the stage with confidence. She took to the mic to speak as the award was brought over. And to hand her this award, the same abuser jury member was called upon the stage. And this was her God-sent chance to speak up about her abuse, while her abuser stood in disbelief. Her abuser tried to apologize, but amidst the applause for the courage she had shown, his voice remained unheard. She thanked our film for the courage it gave her. There was pin-drop silence in the auditorium. It's the kind of silences that's so loud, you never forget it. Karma had played its part. Bhor won the Best Film Award that night. But for us, the bigger victory was the impact the film had made right there, right then. Next day, this made headlines in all the leading newspapers of India. The incident had become viral. And that day, Bhor carved a journey for itself. It was a never-ending journey. After touring for more than 4 years to almost 11 cities and touching base with more than 38,000 people, the sexual abuse story still surprises me every day in disbelief. Every group had stories to tell. Stories of abuse, stories of assault, of betrayal, of emotional traumas. The story does not end even here. It will not end till abuse ends.
Shruti, that was absolutely touching as a story, and truly said the story will not end till the abuse ends. But I think the power of storytelling truly came across with that film, and I can see you are right now overwhelmed just narrating that story. Absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that story with us. Okay, I'm sure that story will inspire many more people to voice what they've gone through and to take a stand against
Thank you.
abuse. So thank you so much, Shruti, for that wonderful story. That was Shruti with her story. And we come down to our final storyteller. But before we have our final storyteller on, let me remind you that after this, our audience, you will be telling us the story that had the most impact on you. So remember to poll. We'll share the link with you in just a little while. But now we've got one final storyteller who's waiting to tell a story. He's a quirky storyteller with a knack of understanding what makes people tick. Over the last 11 years, he has dabbled in the dark arts of marketing, light arts of content, cross-industry and pan-media formats, and performance arts of quizzing, teaching, hosting, and training. And now, even digital series hosting. A dear friend and a story about a mango seed. This is Pratik Dhruva from Plastic Pigments Private Limited with his story, The Mango Seed. Pratik, you're on mute. You need to unmute yourself.
I am so sorry.
Not a problem. Happens in the virtual world. We are all learning this as we go along. Yes.
All right. I'll start again. Hi, my name is Pratik, and I'm a part of Plastic Pigments Private Limited, which is essentially a family business started in MIDC in Thane by my grandfather, Shashikant Dhruva, and now run by my dad, Hiren Dhruva. So this is a conversation that happened a few summers ago when a fresh batch of mangoes came from the grounds of our factory in Navi Mumbai. I remember taking one of the mangoes and smelling it. It was just so fresh, and there was that tiny bit of little sweet sap on the top, and I just couldn't wait. In a little while, I took my first bite, and then I asked my dad, so what is the story behind the mango trees planted at the factory? My dad took a few silent moments, like he usually does, and then this is what he told me. So my grandfather, his father, started the company in 1971, and we were the first to start the production of pearl pigments in India. Pearl pigments is a type of color or pigment that gets added to paint and other products. Before that, it was something that was just imported, not produced locally. And because of the foreign exchange reserve deficits at that time, anything that could be produced in India and didn't require us to import was of great value. And so my granddad decided to do just that. Despite being an MA LLB, which is arts with law, he decided to start a factory. And he ran it well. So well, in fact, that he won award after award, like the gold medal for manufacturing, Udyog Patra from the vice president, and even the Udyog Ratan from the president of India. Now, every time my dad told me this, it made me really proud. But I brought him back and I asked him, so what does all of this have to do with the mangoes? And my dad continued. One day, when my grandfather was starting the factory, he walked out of the under construction building and he just looked out at the plot. It was a barren plot with a little bit of brown, little bit of green, wild grass and weeds growing. If anyone knows that area back then on Thane Belapur Road, you might know what I'm talking about. And so my grandfather decided right there and then that he was just going to use the rest of the entire land to plant trees. He was already taking care of the regulations for water pollution and everything else. He wanted to take care of air pollution as well. And mind you, this is way before carbon credits, before the world took note of climate change. It was just something that he felt passionate about. And so he started planting trees. And from the earliest times, my dad could remember the greenery around the factory. And that is all my granddad. Our factory was one of the highest green cover factories in the entire industrial area. And it would have been outstanding if you could actually see it from the top. I continued to eat my mango. I knew a lot about my granddad, but now I knew even more. There is something just fantastic about finding out something new about a person that you have known your entire life. Many years later, my dad took over the factory and he continued his green revolution, at least the one on our plot. And as a symbolic gesture, he planted another mango seed and went on to increase the green cover, not only on our plot, but even outside. And over the years, other companies, factories, warehouses, all of them followed suit. And each one of them started planting more trees, shrubs, bushes, whatever they could find. And in a very short period of time, it became one of the greenest industrial areas. Even today, every festival, the pujas at the factory start at the trees and not the factory floor. And everyone in the factory makes sure that the green cover stays intact. My grandfather led by example, demonstrating that we don't have to choose between livable space and productive space. We can have both. And we can build products, nurture the environment, and renew the resources around us all at the same time. And finally, every summer, when the mangoes come, not only are they distributed to the employees, but cases are sent to our clients who wait for them. And they are literally the fruits of our labor. And they're a reminder that we can never get so focused on our work and forget what makes life worth living. It's family, friends, relationships, and being caretakers of everything around us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pratik. What a wonderful story about a mango tree. And I'm sure you will pass this on to your children, and your children will pass them on to the next. And generations after generations will enjoy the fruit sowed by your grandfather.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for that wonderful story. That story definitely plants a seed in all of us in a certain way. Thank you very, very much. Well, those were our storytellers for now. That was our final storyteller, Pratik. What a wonderful story. So now it's time for our audiences to tell us which story made the most impact on them. I'm sure you all have been waiting for this moment to tell us how you felt, to tell us the story that had the biggest impact on you. We've heard stories based in Bhutan to stories about recreating the normal, from roti kapda or medicine to the mango seed to the plate full of hope to a table for all. We've heard stories about families that play together, and we've met Parthi the warrior and wondered and known that Eklavya abhi bhi zinda hai. All these stories about abuse, stories about positive things, they've all had an impact. But now it's time for you to tell us which story has had the most impact on you. So for this, you need to go to the website, and we will be posting this link in the comment section on the 3 Facebook pages as well. But for now, we'll show it to you on your screen. The website that you need to go to, you need to type into your website is bit.ly/storyproject2020. So it's bit.ly/storyproject2020. And this will also be posted on the comment section, in the comment section of the Facebook pages. So you can go and click right on that link. It's bit.ly/storyproject2020. We'll give you all a little time to cast in your votes and tell us your favorite, or rather the story that made the most impact on you. While you're doing that, let me tell you how this story project eventually culminates. This is not the end of it. All these wonderful stories have been now curated, and they've been put together in a wonderful book that's going to be published by Crossword and The Right Place, our publishing partners. In fact, we have with us Harshil Shah, Crossword Bookstore's marketing manager, who's here to tell us about how these stories will be taken together and how Crossword has partnered with the Corporate Chameleon to take the story project and create a wonderful book, a repository of stories around sustainability. So Harshil, it's over to you.
Thank you, Dew. We at Crossword are very excited to partner with Corporate Chameleon project. And since Sudipta had informed us, we were looking forward to it. We at Crossword also understand the impact and importance of stories and the positivity it creates on one's mind. So all the stories what we have witnessed today have proved it. I'm very touched and inspired by these stories. We also are going to publish this 24 shortlisted stories in format of a book next year under the banner of Right Place. I'm happy to announce these 24 shortlisted winners. Congrats to all these shortlisted participants. And thank you. Take it away, Dew. All the best.
So 24 shortlisted winners, and let's find out who those 24 shortlisted winners are from the Corporate Chameleon Story Project with this book that's going to be published by Crossword and The Right Place. Here it is, the 24 shortlisted stories. So, congratulations to all our storytellers whose stories will be published in that book from Crossword and The Right Place, along with the Corporate Chameleon. Congratulations once again. Well, you've got few more minutes for that voting to end. Let me remind you about the website. If you haven't gone yet, we'll put that up on the screen one more time. It's bit.ly, bit.ly/Story Project 2020. That's where you need to go and put in your vote. You've got just about a minute left to do that. We'll be ending the voting in just a little while. But before that, we have Sudipta, who I call the chief storyteller of the Corporate Chameleon, who's here to tell us how this all wonderfully came together. And there are so many people who we need to thank for helping in putting all of this together. Our sponsors, our partners, our storytellers, the organizations that took part, everyone. So Sudipta, it's over to you to thank everyone who's made the Story Project 2020 happen. Over to you, Sudipta.
Wow, Dew, that was amazing. So many wonderful stories, so much to learn. A special thanks to all of you wonderful storytellers. Your enthusiasm was contagious. And thank you so much for creating this beautiful evening for us. A very big thank you to our amazing jury members, Mr. Prabhat Pani, Ms. Mini Nair, Mr. Rajesh Iyer, and finally Michael Burns, who is not only a jury member, but has also been our story coach for our storytellers today. Great job. A special thanks to our special guest, Ms. Alpa Vora, for being here and supporting this venture. A big thank you to all the sponsors and partners who have made this possible. Z International, ICICI Lombard, MGB, Conscious Development, and a special thanks to Onstage Experiences for hosting this event and making this evening a memorable and enjoyable one. In fact, Dew is live from Sydney, Australia today. The vision that we had was to start a movement towards creating a more sustainable and compassionate world. And even though this is just the first step, already during my conversations with the participating organizations, the possibilities are visible. Whether it is between two companies looking at collaborating, or with the innovative suggestions that we have received from participants. Thank you to all participating organizations, and we would love to know as and when these possibilities take concrete shape. At Corporate Chameleon, we believe that stories have the power to impact positive change in the world. And through our many verticals, we reach out to organizations and help them to harvest stories, facilitate a culture of storytelling, and build events and shows around the business of storytelling. I'm looking forward to many new initiatives that we can make happen together. A big thank you to the Corporate Chameleon team for making this happen, and all those who have supported us during this journey. And last, but not the least, for all of those who have watched this show today from across India and the world, a big, big thank you. I hope you have all had a wonderful, inspirational time. Looking forward to connecting with you all again at the Corporate Chameleon Story Project Season 2. The registrations start by September 15th. Please continue sharing stories and changing the world a story at a time. Thank you to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sudipta. And yes, I'm doing this live all the way from Sydney because stories know no boundaries. That's right. And in this world of today, where things have changed so much, I'd like to say geography is become history. That's right. It doesn't matter where you are, because stories will always reach you, stories will always touch you, stories will always have an impact on you. And we here at Onstage Experiences also believe that stories are about experiences, which is why we're really proud and happy to be part of this storytelling project along with Corporate Chameleon. So thank you very much for having us on. And I think now everyone is excited to know who the winner is. The winner of the Popular Choice Award for the Storytelling Project, for the Story Project 2020 by Corporate Chameleon, brought to you by Z International in association with ICICI Lombard. And the winner is, here it is. It's a surprise for me as well. And the winner is Devanshi Dwivedi from MGB Advisors Private Limited for her story, Parthi the Warrior. Congratulations, Devanshi. You'll get and take along the trophy and loads of goodies from our prize sponsor, Crossword. So thank you, congratulations, and thank you so much for that wonderful story. It's been absolutely wonderful having everyone join here at the Story Project 2020. To all our lovely audience, we've had about 800 plus people watching it across the 3 platforms. Thank you so much for being here, for taking the time, because stories are so very important. You know, people ask me, what is it that you want for your daughter who's 8 right now? And all that I say is I want her life to be filled with stories, and I want her life to be filled with experiences. That's what stories are all about. They help us grow, they help us nurture, and they take us to a whole new world. Right from the time you've heard it from your grandmother to the time you create your own stories. We'd like to thank all our sponsors, Z International, our presenting sponsor, ICICI Lombard, our associate sponsor, Crossword and The Right Place publishing partners, MGB and Conscious Development. We have Radio City, our radio partner, Z Business, our TV partner, India.com, our digital media partner, and we are Onstage Experiences, your event partner. And thanks to our wonderful team at Corporate Chameleon. Thank you so much for bringing these stories to all of us. The Story Project 2020 comes to an end, but like they say, the story continues. We'll see you at Story Project 2021. For now, congratulations to all the winners, and thank you to our wonderful audience. May stories brighten up your life. Bye-bye.